I had a feminine awakening. The woman at the top was living in the confines of what everyone had told her to be. Once I broke free, I quite literally stepped into the most beautiful, authentic, powerful version of myself. A Radical Awakening by Dr. Shefali. This book led me on my own personal awakening and into my happiest, most fulfilled, powerful identity in life. Just a brief introduction before we get into the meat and potatoes of the novel, which I'm going to be doing over the next few weeks. So please follow and join me if you're interested or feel called to walk on this awakened path. And if you're seeing this video, it's here for a reason and you're hearing that call. Dr. Shefali's book focuses on women especially, and she discusses how women are subconsciously conditioned conform to limiting roles and beliefs in society. I personally believe that women are the oracle that will heal the world, and that women are so intuitive and powerful. And from the very beginning of humanity, women have been silenced and made to feel small and dependent because of this power, because this power was so intimidating to the powers that be. She challenges readers to dismantle these influences and awaken to their truest selves, striving for a life of personal fulfillment. As I talked about in my intro video to this series, I had a life where I had everything conventionally that a woman has been taught to strive for and that will make her happy. And yet, even with the house and the cars and the ability to stay home and the beautiful family, I never felt fully fulfilled. There was always this nagging in my soul that something was not right, that I was not living a life of my choosing. And I somehow innately knew that I didn't really know who I was, that I was not in touch with my divine essence and why I was put on this earth. My religion, Mormonism, was telling me what my purpose was. It was to raise a family in Zion. It was to have an eternal marriage. It was to be a wife and a mother and to stay home with my children. And I accomplished that through a lot of sacrifice. And when I finally got to the top pinnacle of what Mormonism was telling me a woman should be and that would make her happy, I was unfulfilled, and it was so frustrating. I went to countless hours of therapy to try to understand why I couldn't just be happy with what I had. I beat myself up, which so many women will do. The key themes of this book correlate with this exact experience that women have. She talks about these shackles of belief or expectation that are put on women, that we need to break this societal conditioning to really get in touch with who we are. She talks about reclaiming power and that many women are stuck in fear and dependency, and it keeps them from stepping into their most powerful archetypes. Lastly, how pain can be the catalyst for stepping into our highest purpose and identity. I had to burn down my entire life. I walked away from a 20+ year marriage. I walked away from a religion that told me that it had the key to happiness. And this absolutely gutted me. But I cannot think of any experience that would have transformed me more and given me the fortitude to step into the highest version of myself than this deep pain. The main points of her novel are basically a step-by-step instruction manual for women to break free from this matrix of thought control. So number one, recognize the conditioning. You cannot deconstruct your life and the titles and expectations that bind you unless you recognize them for what they are. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Number two, embracing self-compassion, which I'm still working on. Coming from a religious structure, a woman that goes on a wild feminine journey is the worst of the worst. And in my religion, in particular, Mormonism, it was quite literally the sin next to murder, going on a wild feminine journey. And so you have to deconstruct this guilt construct that is so effective in keeping you shackled. Number three is to disrupt the unconscious patterns in your life. For women, it's people pleasing, it's guilt, it's a fear of failure. I was taught from a young age as a Mormon girl that to be an acceptable, lovable woman, I needed to make everyone else around me happy and play small. This is where the people pleasing comes in. Number four is to redefine relationships. So many women are taught from a young age to get married young and that their worth and value is in being chosen by a man. And so then they get stuck in these marriages where they're not fulfilled, they're not happy. It is not a marriage based on mutual respect and growth. but it is based on dependency and attachment. And when you are in a relationship like this, you will never be able to fulfill your life's purpose and understand who you essentially are. There is nothing more fulfilling than a relationship based on a mutual respect for each other's power and autonomy and the wisdom that comes from that, and living and loving in that wisdom. I have that now. I had to burn down everything I knew to attain that, but I would never go back to a relationship based on attachment and dependency. And it's a heavy price to pay, but so worth it. And the last step she goes over in the novel is how to create a new path forward, free and aligned with personal truth. When I was in that religion and in that marriage, I just remember feeling like I wasn't free. Even though by all accounts, I had everything I wanted, I could do what I wanted, I never felt free. I can honestly say now that that freedom that I needed was to be my authentic self. And as long as you are stifling who you are meant to be and getting in touch with who that person is and that archetype, you will always feel stifled and shackled. I can honestly say that I am there, and it is in heavy part due to the concepts in this novel. Dr. Shefali is a clinical psychologist and author. He wrote The Conscious Parent, which I read as a mother, and many other women have probably read in their pursuit to parent in the best possible way, and allow her to be this mentor and this expert now when it comes to your divine feminine awakening. It is time for you to tend to yourself. She combines Eastern philosophy with Western philosophy, bridging the two to provide practical tools for transformation. And this was such a breath of fresh air for me, coming out of a very Judeo-Christian Western religion that oftentimes, inherent in its canon, teaches women to play small and to be subjugated to these confines and shackles that keep us small and unawakened. She teaches us of this radical overhaul of traditional beliefs, especially affecting women and mothers. So come along with me on this journey as we read A Radical Awakening by Dr. Shefali.